So everyone got box office bomb Joker 2 Folie et Deux wrong. Now, who am I to say you are wrong as a view? Art is subjective.
Comedy is subjective, Murray. Isn't that what they say?
Yes, this much is true, and much like looking at the clouds where you see a steaming pile of excrement, I see
a dog chasing cars.
And I'm not going to say this is my favorite movie of the year, as it's actually a relatively stacked year with great horror films, surprisingly. But it is my favorite clown movie in a year where it has competition from the likes of Art the Clown. I can hear the grumbling already, a screaming of viewers demanding I get to the point. But first, let me acknowledge what did go wrong, for lack of a better term, or maybe where people are coming from. Also, I will be giving away major plot points, so take that into consideration. They murdered our boy.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Both figuratively and possibly literally. While we're unsure as to whether Arthur Fleck has died from the stab wounds shown at the end of the movie, it is significant in that it shows that he is at the period of time where he is no longer the charismatic clown we've come to love. This film builds to this, as in his trial, he essentially denounces this personality and his supporters. In doing so, he loses the support of Lady Gaga.
You're so embarrassed of yourself that you gotta put me down.
Who is his only remaining tie to this version of himself. In this universe, Joker lives on through the anarchy that he, or that one, Joker 1, that is, has inspired. Many even donning the paint to match the look, but Fleck can't access this part of himself any longer. Fleck sees his actions in 1 and the beginning part of 2 the way Todd Phillips intended from the very beginning for us to see it. While Fleck and his Joker persona have been glamorized and turned him into an anti-hero icon through both film and reality, Phillips uses this movie to highlight the flaws of such a character and more poignantly and blatantly show us what is wrong with him. You see, the trial is as much about Arthur Fleck, the character, as putting the first movie on trial.
My client, the Honorable Henry T. Fleming, should go right to fucking jail!
Is Arthur Fleck the twisted persona that looms larger than life when he is Joker, or is he the manifestation of a man who is narcissistic, lonely, sad, and indifferent to the thoughts and feelings of others? Todd Phillips seeks to tell us in a non-ambiguous fashion that Fleck was acting as a bad person without the defense of Joker being a split in his personality to protect himself. This is not to say that Fleck is not a deeply disturbed and unwell individual, which I think is a nuance and detail that makes this film very good.
And I'm tired of pretending it's not.
Fleck suffered tremendous trauma during his youth, was continuously discounted by the government in trying to rehabilitate him or safely facilitate a home for him while he was in this defenseless state. The indictment is upon a society that allows people to fall by the wayside. But the big point Phillips is trying to communicate is that Joker is the ailment and not the cure. Rather than tear the entire system down, Phillips sees the solution rationally in that we should want to stop any person from reaching this depth of depravity rather than celebrate those who reach it. At the heart of the split on this movie is the dichotomy of audience members who did celebrate Joker as a character who damned the ships and readied the torpedoes. Quite frankly, I get it. Joker was cool in 1, and he seemed to stand for something, that being the little man, or being the little man who is able to make an impact after being held down to the lowest level of society for so long. At the end, destruction of society only serves to create a breeding ground for more people to be helpless, and seeing the true flaws of Fleck makes it clear why that is bad.
You're garbage who kills for money. Don't talk like one of them. You're not. Even if you'd like to be.
Fleck coming to the realization that this persona he created is merely a way for him to try and take back control, and a deeply seated one, can be crushing to watch.
I got the sneaking suspicion that we're not giving the people what they want.
It was ultimately disappointing to see such a fall from grace, but it made for a complete and total arc for this character that feels strangely grounded despite reality and a lot of these aspects of the film being distorted. We see things from Fleck's perspective, which is completely distorted, but by the end of the movie, we are forced to face the same fate that he comes to accept.
There are fates worse than death.
Fleck didn't want to be a loser any longer. He didn't want to feel powerless, and felt that by making a spectacle of taking back control, he could be everything he never was. A star. Someone that people cared about. Someone that people knew. And I know I've addressed this already, but it bears repeating. Nobody wants to be the viewer who has egg on their face coming out of the theater. You enjoy and like a character in one film, only to have the director tell you that you were wrong for liking them in the first place.
I don't mean to make you uncomfortable. I don't know why everyone is so rude. I don't know why you are. I don't want anything from you. Maybe a little bit of warmth. Maybe a hug, Dad.
The joke did end up being on Phillips in this scenario, as this film is very financially unsuccessful. So take solace in that if you felt some type of way after watching this film.
Get what you fucking deserve!
I think this very sentiment is why people are crushing this film when it comes to reviews, as it seemingly abandons the spirit of the first, but I don't really see it that way. I think it is a unique and thoughtful character study from what was created by the first, and I can't knock a movie for that, even though it stung to watch. When the criticisms from myself and others of Joker 1 were that it ripped off Scorsese films, that being Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, I can't fault it when it takes a bold new direction. Now let's get to one of my criticisms, which did somewhat hamper my enjoyment, though it did play a role in the film: the musical element. This was played up to show the mental state of Fleck and overdone to show it wasn't some magical feature and something that even he, Arthur Fleck, was turning sour on. I think to communicate something this way is interesting and again shows off creativity. It did limit the amount of serious acting scenes we could appreciate from Joaquin.
A mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash! I'll tell you what you get!
Which is one of the reasons I didn't like it so much, but again, it served a purpose. I think the film would have been better off if it chose to communicate this in a different way, but I've never made a movie, so what the hell do I know? All in all, I will say that a movie that is as thought-provoking about a character as interesting as Joker is something I'll never dismiss. I think there is a lot of truth in the criticisms Phillips tries to make of this character, and maybe that's why it hurts. A more artsy-fartsy rendition of a film is never going to attract the masses that a mainstream success like Joker did, but damn, I'll say I'm really glad it didn't just rehash the same old stuff.
No one, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. I don't like it because it's so artsy-fartsy.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills when I hear people complain that they only come out with the same old stuff. and then complain when it's not the new stuff that they were looking for. Sequels at their heart aren't the breeding grounds of creativity, but Phillips went and did something wholly unique, and I appreciate that. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5 as it was an above average film. Anything less, I feel, comes from an emotional standpoint, or maybe you're like my girlfriend and just didn't mesh well with it, which is also understandable. The musical element was the biggest negative for me, but again, it communicated something and distinguished it from the first. I'm fairly sure this will be the last of the Joker series, but hey, it was a hell of a ride. Thank you for joining me in this video. Let me know your thoughts on the film yourself. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon, and I will catch you on the flippity floop. Bye, y'all.